The Philadelphia 76ers picked up another impressive victory of the season, taking down the Orlando Magic 124-109 in one of the more impressive victories of the season, and most specifically by the performance of Joel Embiid. So we're here to break that all down. You got me and Eddie on the sticks for you guys tonight. But before we dive fully into it, I do want to make sure you guys are smashing that subscribe button, that we do want to get those numbers up to 3,000 by the end of January. Keep that Sixers Digest family growing. At this point in time, over 80% of you guys have not subscribed to the channel just yet. So we got to make sure we keep that change, keep the family growing, and keep supporting this awesome Sixers team. So to dive into specifically what we have going on tonight, I first want to start front and center with the performance of Joel Embiid. I'll toss it to you, Eddie, first. And how many things did Joel Embiid do tonight that you have never seen before? Because for me, the answer is more than one.
The answer, I'm still counting. I'm still, he was so deep in his bag. We're still trying to find the bottom of it. I mean, we've talked about him as a 3-level scorer. At every level, he's doing 5, 6 different things, which what is that, 18-level scorer, He was just so incredible in every way tonight. It was a really impressive performance of just almost showing off, everything he can possibly do, just totally putting on a clinic to the definition.
Absolutely. And to dive into specifically some of these highlights here, I want to kick things off with what we will see all over social media for the next couple days, at least for the next couple hours, because Joel Embiid one-upping Anthony Edwards the night before with this impressive off-the-backboard slam here. This is just straight up not the norm for a 7-footer the way that Joel Embiid is. So do you think he got this inspiration directly from Ant, and what was going through your mind here, Eddie?
Absolutely. Embiid pays attention. He might be a little more to himself this year. They're not making MVP noise yet and everything, but he's keeping track of what people are doing. And, even in the first quarter, you see Maxi throw kind of an errant lob that went off the backboard. You don't know really what he was attempting there. And then Embiid just had to set the record straight. Look, Ant, you might be the hot young guy on everyone's favorite new hot young team in the West right now, but I'm still the best player in the league, and anything you can do, I can do at almost 6 inches and 100 pounds taller. It's just ridiculous what he's able to do out there. It was the highlight of the young calendar year for Embiid so far.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be on SportsCenter, all over the place, House of Highlights, you name it. So,
yeah.
And another thing that I saw from him, which this to me was even more surprising, was this little hook shot here. So we see Joel going to this, the little flick over the shoulder, and to me that's more than just like, A, that's super cool that he can even pull that off, and B, that's an effective and efficient shot if he can get that down. So That's not something I've seen from his bag before. What do you think about that one?
I mean, that specific type of flicking hook motion he hasn't made really much this season. It was a new way that is so nice, because I was looking at it, and actually for what actually counts as a hook shot according to whether it's cleaning the glass or the shooting stats on NBA.com, he's shooting like 68% on what they call hook shots right now. And so this was the only one, this was a more stylish one that looked more like the Kareem skyhook. And look, if he's able to do that and just extend himself that far and just get a little flick action, there's no one to stop that. And speaking of things he did with his wrist that I hadn't seen, there was a move he did on a little DHO dribble handoff action with Maxi where he faked a pass. And it was really some like option offense quarterback stuff. It was the flashiest little wrist action I've seen from him. And I feel like when he's really cooking in these games, he gets so much more flashy with his skill moves. And hey, look, maybe it'll be some turnovers once in a while, but when he's showing off how deep that bag is like he was tonight, it's endless entertainment for Sixers fans.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I think that's an area of his game specifically that he's taken a significant stride forward this year. That it's not just we know the bag, we know the moves, we know what he's capable of, but it feels like he's manipulating the game at a level that I have not seen from him before. And that is what MVP players do. That is what all-time great players do. And when you look at the context of things, this now marking his 19th consecutive game with 30-plus points. We did see the 30-10 streak go. I know it officially died, the 30-10 rebounds against the Denver Nuggets, but he did have 10 assists in that game, so I was kind of looking at it as his 30-10 streak going, but tonight it did officially fall as we look at his stats here on the game, that threw 30 points, 7 rebounds, so not quite the 30-10 that we have seen, but still quite the impressive performance. Any other significant takeaways from Joel?
Well, I wanted to talk about just this last week or two since January started, and he's been back on the year. He's at 35, 11, and 6. That's on the calendar year since January started, with shooting at 53, 36, 80. I mean, or sorry, that is on the season rather. on the calendar year, he's bumped it up to 41% from three in these last 5 games, at 35, 10, and 6 with 14 free throw attempts. That is the key number there. I think his two key numbers right now are the 14 free throw attempts a game, which he's knocking down at 88%, and on the full season, his assist rate being as high as it's ever been in his career by a healthy margin.
Yeah.
He is accounting for, I believe it's 27% of assists while he's on the floor. It is, I mean, we talked about it with Olynyk the other day, what he can bring to the bench. And that's partially why I wanted that, is because you don't want that playmaking at the center to go away when Embiid's on the bench. And man, Embiid's playmaking at the center. Look, if people ran with that narrative last year that, look, he won the MVP, but he didn't win the title, he was looking at everything Jokic did better, and he said, I'm going to get there for you. I'm going to be just as good at all those things now. And it's really impressive what he's able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And he does not just do it against these bad teams like the Orlando Magic, because we've seen it against the good teams. And to pull up those stats specifically, that against the top 4 defenses in the league this season, still averaging the 33-10 number there. So it's very impressive that he raises the level, and even more fun on a night like tonight against the Orlando Magic, where he gets to kind of sleepwalk through it, not play the fourth quarter, and still look like the best player on the court by a significant margin. That the first 2 plays of this game, or the first 3 plays, the first and third, was that little turnaround on Gogo Batazzi, and then the third one, him just putting Batazzi in the basket, backing him up. There is no true answer for it. So incredibly impressive, the growth there. But I do want to switch gears and note that he cannot do it alone. And one guy that has rose to the occasion this year is Tyrese Maxey. That on the night, this marks the 8th time this season that both Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey have each scored 30 points in a game. That is a new Sixers record, which surpasses the 7 games from Wilt Chamberlain and Hal Greer back in 1965, 1966. And to talk about his stats specifically, Maxey finished with 32 points along with 7 assists and 3 steals. So impressive stuff from Maxey on the night there. What were your thoughts on Maxey's game tonight?
My favorite thing about Maxey tonight was something that happened while Embiid was out, and it's his patience, because he knows that when his jumper's not falling, he's still going to be a productive player. Look, in that first quarter, he was 1 for 4, he was over his first 3 from 3 at least, and he was not making his jump shots. But right away, the second quarter starts, and right as I was thinking, well, he's got to start getting more productive, he gets to the stripe at the start of the second, and he just starts racking up those free throws, those close baskets, starts drawing that attention away from Embiid and onto him. And that's what he needs to do. And it's so many games like this now where maybe those threes aren't falling. And his 3-point percentage, especially on pull-ups, has not been fantastic this year. You want it to be a little better. Still fantastic on catch and shoots, though. But I really love the level of maturity in his game this year, where when his jumpers aren't falling, he's always going to find another way to contribute to the team rather than just forcing it and trying to shoot his way out of a slump. And I love that about Maxey tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's another guy that's grown in his ability to manipulate the game, his growth as a playmaker, his ability to be patient, read defenses. These are all massive and just mature strides forward for a player who so much has been thrown on his plate so young. Still 23 years old, still very early in his developmental arc, and it is scary to think about what he's going to be moving forward. And I've tossed this take out a couple times now, and I haven't got your feedback on it yet, but I think Tyrese Maxey is the best 2-man pairing that we've ever seen with Joel Embiid, and that includes James Harden, that includes Ben Simmons, that includes Jimmy Butler. And the reason that I say that, and we obviously saw such efficient numbers with James Harden and Joel Embiid last year that blew off the charts the rest of the NBA. But with James Harden, he was incredibly elite at what he does, but he's pretty limited in the things that he can do. When you throw in a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who has this ability to move off ball, the pick and pop, be able to create his own 3 without having the ball in his hands, all these things are different elements that he's at. There's like a youthful just randomness to his game that I think is really effective in this offense. So where would you stack things up right now, and your thoughts on that as a whole?
Well, I mean, just looking at the raw numbers, it's hard not to say Harden, especially like when he was at his most efficient last year. But you got me thinking about something he said in his first press conference after getting traded to the Clippers. I'm not a system player. I'm a system. Maxey can fit into a system. Maxey is the second best player on the team. He is the number 2 on a championship caliber team, but he's not going to be a guy who's forcing a system to revolve around him. He is a much more dynamic player like you're talking about, and he's allowing the pace to be at such a different level. I mean, think back to the first quarter tonight. Embiid was just racking up easy points because everyone was pushing the pace. And sometimes Embiid, he's a slower guy because he's freaking huge, obviously.
Yeah.
But when the team is playing at that chaotic pace, it slows things down for the opposing defense and doesn't allow them to get the help that they need. And then it becomes Embiid on Batatse one-on-one. And you saw how that went for 48 minutes, or really for less than that because he didn't play the fourth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted to say the Magic are better than you're giving them credit for this year. Franz has been out for a few weeks, so they're really slumping. But I want to say that for the sake of Sixers fans, don't underestimate this team. They were very hot in the beginning of the year, and when they're healthy, especially defensively, they're very good. And that's a potential like 2-7 or even 3-6 in the playoffs matchup. So I mean, I would be happy about that as a Sixers fan because your best player is getting matched up against Batatse. That's a good scheme matchup. Obviously, the Sixers would roll through them, but don't underestimate the Magic. That's my big lesson going in and coming out. Is even though they were banged up and couldn't do anything today, that's a team to look out for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And they're a fun team to watch when they're fully healthy, too, with their slew of guards. Jalen Suggs, an incredibly fun player. Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz even get back out there. And then a ton of injuries as well. Franz Wagner, very disappointing. Paolo Banchero didn't really get it going today. But they are a talented team, as you mentioned. So it is worth noting that. And I did just want to mention before we wrap things up that we can't look past the bottom half of this roster here, that we did see some firsts for the Sixers team. Both Terquavion Smith and Ricky Council IV registering their first career NBA points. You saw Joel Embiid go nuts on the bench, which I thought was very cool, cheerleading them. Do you have any real thoughts on those two as players real quick, or just kind of the vibes that were brought on by that moment?
I mean, you always like the vibes in moments like that. Yeah. You don't want to actually flash back to the process years, but you think about that and you think about the young development and players lasting a long time in that developmental phase. And it can be a struggle. And sometimes it's like, look, you just want to see a guy get out there, get his first couple buckets. Maybe he's going to be back in the G League team soon enough. And it's like, whatever. It's always a feel good kind of thing. And to see your stars rallying around that that's the real takeaway. Yeah. Is seeing the stars of the team being enthusiastic about those guys getting their first buckets. That's really what you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was especially cool to see Joel Embiid up there leading the charge, pumping his fist, dancing around. That matters as far as the vibes of a team, everyone liking each other. And for Terquavion Smith specifically, I know I've raved about this on this channel several times already. Terquavion Smith's an NBA player, and he will be in the short term. That I've thought that since his freshman year at NC State. I will continue to pound the table and claim that out loud. So cool to see him put one in the box score, have that to hang, and the back-to-back threes, you see the confidence right there. So a cool moment all around there. But ultimately, a successful night in the Sixers world, another win in the books. They continue cruising this season, and Joel Embiid keeps doing these just truly historic things. So appreciate all you guys for tuning in this video. Make sure you're dropping your comments to let us know your thoughts on this game, on Joel Embiid as a whole. Give me your Joel Embiid stat line prediction for tomorrow night against the Charlotte Hornets. We'll be back keeping it. And once again, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Keep this Sixers Digest family growing. We'll be back with you throughout the rest of the season. Peace.